Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, the 144,000 men that are doing his work in sincerity and in truth across the four corners of the earth. And much love to the one-third, the innumerable multitude of you believers out there. To you all, I say Shalom. I'm the brother Yeshaya from the Great Millstone West Palm Beach Church. And I pray, Lord willing, that this lesson is edifying through the Spirit. I have a couple disclaimers before I start this. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to be breaking it down. So I would say, listen to the whole thing. It might be a little lengthy, but listen to the whole thing. We got to examine and then rebuke. But I'm not going to be saying nothing off or nothing. But I just wanted to say that. And secondly, as a disclaimer, it is not necessarily required to have an arranged marriage in our faith, okay? But it's extremely beneficial, all right? And I wanted to just say that just so there's no confusion, because I pray the apostles find this noteworthy, you know what I mean? Because I know not too many lessons like this go out in the world, but it was just important for me to do. It's just because we're living in a time now where of complete anarchy when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriages, when it comes to love, adultery. It's just complete chaos right now. And now I do understand that the prophecy would say that our wives would be as harlots in the street. I understand that wholeheartedly. And the Lord is treating us, basically making women treat us the same way how we treated him, by being wicked, sinning, going off, being disrespectful, disobedient, and out of order. But that's not what this lesson is about, okay? I do want to talk about this arranged marriage thing, all right? And I'm about to pull out some statistics in a moment, but I do want to read this verse, and then I'll get into it, all right? I'm going to come back to this verse, Lord willing, later too, but this is Ecclesiasticus 7, and I'll start at 23. The point is really 25, but I'll read 23 through 27 for emphasis first. It says, "Hast thou children, instruct them and bow down their neck from their youth." Right? So that's one of the problems that we have in this society. Many people have children, but they're living disobedient lives. And this goes for men and women, right? Growing up as children. They're living disobedient lives. And the main thing about disobedient, they're not following the Most High, the power of heaven and earth, whose true name is Yahweh and his son's name is Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls God and who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, so there's no instruction with them, and they're not bowed down their neck. If they do, they're following after emotions of their mother or a lack of father. So there's a lot of things children are missing growing up. Okay, it says, "Hast thou daughters, have a care of their body, and show not thyself cheerful toward them." Right, so many men that have daughters, you're not supposed to be overindulgent with your daughters, right? You says have a care for their body, and because you're trying to train them, it says train up a child in the way they should go, and they shall not depart from it. So you have to show them a certain light and a certain lifestyle, and in order to become better wives, better parents, better sisters. Okay, it says, "Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter, but give her to a man of understanding." All right, so it says, "Marry thy daughter." So this is a duty that fathers would behold according to our custom of being Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. This is a custom that has been long lost, all right, to marry thy daughter. We living in America. America doesn't believe in arranged marriages. America doesn't believe in giving your daughter away. If they do, it's in wickedness, right? The only time the father gives away the daughter now is after the daughter has gone out, lived a very promiscuous lifestyle, chosen a man of her own liking, okay? And then they go and then they talk to the father, and the father just pays for their wedding, or he walks her down the aisle. But the reason, so nobody ever considers, why is the father giving her away, right? At the exchange, at the end of our level, let's use that as an example, right? Why is the father handing her off to another man? Why do they have to ask for the father's approval before it is done, right? People will do it anyway in America, even if they don't have their blessing from their father, they'll do it anyway. But there's a reason for that exchange. It's because the protection of the father is now given over to the man that's supposed to look after her for the rest of her life. Okay? That's the reason it happened. It's the reason that when a man has a son or a daughter, they take on the father's name. Okay, because now it's from that father's life. And so think about this, and not anymore, because in America now, the prowess of the world, the pride of the world has made women take on two names or keep their own last names or make the man take their last name, which is a complete absurdity. However, typically speaking, in a righteous sense, of a man has children, they take on the father's name. And then when he has daughters, when the time is for her to marry, right? In America, they'll have her. She's now giving the husband's last name, because he's now become a part of her family. Okay, and the children are going to have the last name of the father. Okay, so if you can understand. All right, so now it says, but give her to a man of understanding. It's a weighty matter. It's a lot that goes into that. But give her to a man of understanding, right? So now when you're giving your daughter away, you're supposed to give her into a man of understanding. Who's a man of understanding? A man in the truth, a man who understands the Bible, right? Just giving your daughter away to any John Doe on the street just because, the guy has a lot of money, that's a bad decision, okay? Just because the guy has wealth, or because, he seems like an okay guy. Like, you're supposed to give her to a man of understanding, right? And a man of understanding is going to be a man that follows Yahweh Shema Shai, a man that follows the Bible, okay? Because he's going to treat her well. He's going to do according to the law to be able to, especially because he respects another man of the Lord. So therefore, he's always going to respect your daughter because he sees you in her, okay? But it says, hast thou a wife after thy mind? Forsake her not. But give not thyself over to a light woman. Okay, so if you got a wife according to your mind, there's nothing wrong with going and getting a woman that you like. But there's still, even in America, right? She's like, oh, you got to meet my parents. She's a decent woman will say that. Nowadays, you got women that they're just, obviously we live in the days of hypersexuality and things like that. She gives up the draws, you know what I'm saying? Hey, look, I understand. Things happen, that marriage was made, things happen like that, but you're still supposed to go to the father to, work things out with him, I get it, there are many marriages that were made technically without a father's quote unquote consent. But, those were ancient times where men all had an understanding that we followed Yahweh B'Shem Shai, that was an understanding. But nowadays, you got to be careful, man. Because a lot of people now, they don't serve the Most High, okay? All of Israel knew the name of Yahweh at one point. So it was even though our people were sinning, there were certain things that were understood amongst each other. But it says, give not thyself over to a light woman, right? Somebody who's really, I said the word promiscuous earlier, but it's someone who's has maybe flirtatious and adulterous nature, somebody who you don't really see yourself being with, somebody you don't trust. You got to be careful. I hear the elders always say you got to be careful who you put your rod into. It's an energetic thing. And man, sometimes we got to learn that the hard way, through sometimes dealing with certain women, you might not feel good afterwards. Getting down, your energy is gone, your spirit is gone, you get that post-nut clarity. It ends in pregnancy or child support. A lot of these things, so you got to be able to make, now that we're in the truth, we got to be able to make proper decisions when it concerns women. And women have to make better decisions. Let's be real. A lot of our women have made bad decisions concerning men. And that's why you need a man in order to see what another man is good for you, okay? So now let me get some of these stats now that I got that part off my chest. All right, so I was just, in this spirit, this just hit me. So I don't know, the Lord gives the increase. The Lord decides the lessons ultimately, man. So the Lord, this just got on my spirit just to start looking up this information. And I looked up what percentage of the world has arranged marriages. This is the AI overview and something on brides.com too. But it says, while it's difficult to pinpoint an exact global percentage, it's estimated that over half of all marriages worldwide are arranged. You see that? Over half. So more than 50% of the world are engaged in arranged marriages. All right, but it's like, what are we seeing in America? America is the outlier, man. Right? It's creating a whole world of chaos. Okay. But it says, with the practice being particularly prevalent in certain regions like Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. All right. It says it's estimated over half, yes, half of the marriages are arranged, and that over 20 million of those unions exist in the world today. Okay. So it says that over 20 million people are engaged in arranged marriages. All right. And I found that interesting to the point where I'm like, well, let me look up more stats. So it says it has been reported that approximately 90% of marriages in India are arranged. All right. A marriage is termed as arranged when it's proposed by people other than those people getting married. The people responsible for the arrangement of marriage can be parents, matchmaking agents, or matrimonial sites. That's through. But the main point is your parents. And I sometimes like watching Bollywood videos and things like movies. And usually they be asking son, they be bringing over girls to meet the son and things like that because they're trying to find him a good girl and vice versa. Okay. So I looked up and went further on. I said, what's the percentage of divorce and arranged? So in America, I got to relook at the stat, but the last I checked was that America had a divorce rate of over 60%, 50 to 60% of marriages in America end in divorce. You know what? Just to make sure I don't want to lose that photo. I want to come back to that, but just so make sure we're on point, let me look up. In U.S. It says 50%, almost 50% of marriages end up in divorce. Okay. And it says, of that 50%, wives are the ones who most often file for divorce at 66% on average. That figure has soared to nearly 75% in some years. 75%. So we're having 50% of marriages that are here in America are being divorced. All right. And then of that 50%, 75% of those are created by women. Y'all, this is if this was a disease, this will be terminal and fatal. There is a huge epidemic going on with marriage in the United States. Okay. And why is this not reflected upon? Right. And that's because a couple of reasons. One, this nation is not under the mind state of pleasing the Most High. That's number one. Secondly, this is Sodom and Gomorrah, right? This is Babylon. So people are just doing what they want, right? People aren't getting married for the right reasons. People aren't trusting their fathers to be able to pick the right choice for them. And women are leading with their emotions and their hypergamous nature and just deciding, I don't want to be with this guy anymore. There's somebody better. I'm not happy anymore. Therefore, I'm going to leave him. And so, and you're not, a woman is not, so if you understand, if we're going to really go into another definition of fornication as well. Fornication goes into porneia, which goes into illicit sexual acts. If I'm not mistaken, the divorced woman is up under that. Like, because a woman isn't supposed to leave her man, her husband. Okay. But the thing is, they're doing this at dire rates. One, because they're marrying for the wrong reasons. They're not trusting their father to do it. Their fathers aren't led by the Lord. Okay. And so when they get into these things, you know, they're just doing whatever they feel is right, according to their emotions. but 75% of women are leaving are men. So there's no incentive to, we have marriages, of course, in the nation of Israel, and of course they got Esau in the middle of their marriages too, right? Marriage in America is a business. It's a corporation. It's not it's a weapon to use against families, to have control over families. You got to buy a, $10,000 ring. You got to have a $50,000 wedding, right? You got to get a quarter $1,000,000 house. It's been marriage has been weaponized. It's not about the love between a man and a woman and the Most High anymore. Okay, so I just wanted to get those stats out really quickly. Let me go back to the one I was reading. So now that we got the increasingly devastating percentage of divorce in America, let's read this. This is the AI overview. It says, the divorce rate for arranged marriages is generally considered to be significantly lower than that of love marriages, with estimates ranging from 1 to 4% globally. I don't think you heard me. 1 to 4% globally. So if you have a arranged marriage, there is 1 to 4% likelihood that you'll be divorced. 1 to 4%. All right. That's mind blowing. So this is where people have to think, well, what's going on outside of America that's not going on here? That's something to consider, man. All right. And this is how you know we living in hell over here in America, in Babylon, man. It's confusion, right? They putting the woman in a position of authority here, right? To where they feel like they're ruling and leading the marriage. Whereas we know the man has to be the one to lead. According, that's God's way. In 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, right? That's his way. That's what he ordained, for the man to lead and the woman to follow, right? But here in America, we have the complete opposite of that. All right, the independent woman, feminism, So it's complete chaos right now with marriage. And then the thing is, more than likely, if you give it to a man to send it, the thing is, women don't want to. You don't want to love who your father chose for. You want to love who you love. Like, oh, Dad, I've seen movies. Dad, I love him. You know what I'm saying? But the dude it says, man, I like stats, man. All of them ain't always on point, but stats are good. They say 80% of the women in America have sex with 20% of the men. So that means all the women are choosing wrongly and having sex with all the bad guys, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the drug dealers. They're having sex with the bad pot because those guys may be super in shape. They might have a lot of money. They may be bad guys living on the edge. And so all the women are finding those guys attractive, and all of the women are having sex with those men. And they wonder why their heart is broke. They wonder why they got done dirty. They wonder why the guy never took care of them. They wonder why they're struggling to pay for everything. They wonder why there's no love. Now, also the other reason is, we understand that, and I'm not going to get too into this because I'm trying to stay focused on the mission here. But also having multiple wives, right? That's a big problem with women in America, because our women have been blinded to think that there's another way of life that has a problem with a man having multiple women. That's because your master, right, Esau, Edom, your enemy, has made you think that there's a problem with that, right? But there's not. Your struggles wouldn't be as bad if you had another sister in the house to help you. You will be able to help take care of the children better. You'll be able to have possibly more money in the house. You'll be able to have time to yourself. You will have somebody help you clean and cook. Things will be easier if you had a sister to help you out with things. But like I said, I'm not delving into that too much. I'm not trying to boost too much emotion on this one with the women. And ultimately, we need the kingdom of heaven. But just all the women, many women in the Bible had sister wives. Okay. All right. So let me read some of these. This is Titus, the 2nd chapter. I'm going to read verses 1 through 6. It says, but speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, right? So that's what we're supposed to be speaking. That's what we're supposed to be doing. So having a man that doesn't speak sound doctrine, that should be a red flag to a woman, right? But see, now we got people who believe that, they're following different groups. That's not even understanding the way of the Lord, right? They'll think we're the bad guys, but, IUIC is telling you that the name of the Lord is Jesus, and they're saying that that's okay, right? That they're not following the law, statutes, commandments, and they'll just go along with it because their emotions are being satisfied. But you got to get around your emotions so that you can get saved, dear. You should want to be saved more than all things. So get out your emotions and find the truth. Find a man that has the truth. Okay. Now, for you sisters out there that are adults, that your father may not know the truth, and we living in a different time. I understand, but hey, man, and I'm saying this through the Spirit. Don't be afraid to reach out. We got comment boards. Y'all see our videos. If it's a brother that you like, you may be interested in, you can comment on one of his old videos and say, hey, brother, I'm really interested in you. I'm learning. I'm trying to be humble. Is there anything that I can do so that we may connect? And especially if you're in the same city, it's just the wise thing to do, man. You should want to be saved. You should want to be connected with a man of the Lord. The Lord gonna work it out one way or another anyway. But that's just a nugget of wisdom there. But it says that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith and charity and patience. Right. So these are attributes of a man of the Lord. Right. To be sound in faith, temperate, having self-control. Right. Being patient. Especially in today's days, God knows we got to be patient, man. Lord willing. It says the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becoming holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, right? So you're an aged woman, you've been in the truth for some time, you're getting older, right? And the women who are literally older, man, you got to have holiness. You got to be separate than the rest of this world. You can't be gossiping and full of all the nonsense that the women in the world do, right? Not just, you can drink, but don't be getting blitzed out here. You got to teach good things, man, to the younger sisters that are out here, that they may teach the young women, see that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. And the thing is, we live in a world now where a lot of these women are growing up that they're not being taught to love their husbands. They're being taught to be thoughts. They're being taught to go out and, I be seeing moms twerking in front of their daughters and, bringing 20 men to the house, right? They're not being taught to love one man. They're being taught that the world is theirs, right? They're not being taught to love children or have children, right? They're being taught to forget children and live your life and be successful and get money. But then the day comes when they'll be old and lonely, right? One of your greatest, your three greatest joys as a woman should be three things: to serve the Lord, to serve your husband, which is also your Lord, and to take care of your home and have children. Are the women of old? They used to be upset when they couldn't give their husband children. All right, and for all you sisters out there that are having child issues or barren, hey, the Lord gonna bless you and open your womb. You just gotta be patient. If you look at the women who in the scriptures, who there was many times that they were barren or the wombs were closed, but the Lord will open them back up after prayer and some time, right? But this reminds me of Abraham, Isaac and Rebecca. That was Abraham was Isaac went and found her, but he was given instructions on what to do to find Rebecca. Okay, Jacob, right? Laban gave away Rachel and Leah to Jacob, right? But he told Rachel, at first Jacob was working 7 years to work for Rachel. But Laban said, no, I can't give you to her because she's my younger daughter. I have to give you the eldest first. And he gave her Leah. Some people say Leah, but Leah. And so then after he had her, he worked another 7 years, and then he was given Rachel. Though he worked for him, yes, but Laban gave them over because he realized he was a man of honor, a man of integrity, a man of understanding. Okay? So that was a custom of ours. It says to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of the Most High be not blasphemed, right? Obedient, right? This is that's a trait that has been lost. You know, a man loves, it says, a man loveth nothing more than the beauty of a woman and a silent and loving woman. Okay? These are attributes that a man desires. But nowadays, all the things that men say we like, women don't. Women say they don't want to do those things. We tell women that we like natural hair. They rather wear weave. We tell them that we like natural bodies. They rather get BBLs. We tell them we love their beautiful face without makeup. They wear the makeup anyway. Right? So we're living in a nation that's time full of disobedience. All right. However, a true man will love you the way you're intended to be, the way the Most High made you. Okay. So yeah, and that doesn't, that this will bring you more peace. I guarantee you, this will bring you more peace, more happiness. It says, young men likewise exhort to be sober minded. All right, so now let me go on because I do have quite a bit to get through here. 1 Peter 3:5, for after this manner in the old time, the holy women also who trusted in the Most High adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. So all you women out there saying you a God-fearing woman and you believe in the Bible, well, just as we as men, we model ourselves after our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai, right? We model after Yahweh Shai. That's our example. So there are women in the Bible. Now, a lot of them did have issues, but there are notable and respected women in the Bible, right? You read about Susanna, you read about Judith. There were respected women in the Bible, okay? Esther, okay? So it said the holy women also, they trusted in the Most High, all right? And they weren't being subjection into their own husband. So you do have to be, you were made to be a helpmate unto him. You got to be in subjection to your own husband. Nowadays, women say, no, I'm going to do what I want. Your husband tell you to wear something, right? He say, don't, babe, I like you to put on a dress. A woman to say, I'm going to wear pants and do what I want. I'm going to wear what I like. But that's so unattractive and it's so disobedient. And you upsetting the Most High by disobeying your husband. I'm going to just keep it real. And that should bother you, that you're disobeying God by disobeying your husband's request. And if you have a man of understanding, he's not going to be asking you to do nothing crazy. He's not going to tell you to go rob a bank. He's not going to tell you to go get tattoos with him. He's not going to tell you to engage in threesomes and have orgies. He's not going to tell you barbaric things. And he's not going to have you do drugs. It's because he's a man of the Lord. That's why being obedient and subjection to your husband is on point, because he's going to lead you the right way. All right. It says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. So if you want to be daughters of Sarah, Sarah called her husband Lord. Come on now. It says, likewise, ye husbands dwell with them according to knowledge. So we dwell with our women according to knowledge. We're not being disobedient to the Most High and wild, and have our daughters become harlots and things like that, man. All right. It says, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. You see that? So we give honor to our wives in her position. Okay. We understand that they're the weaker vessel, so we deal with them according to knowledge. However, you women, man, I'm saying this in not in a rude way, but hey, we women, like, why do I have to change? We had to change. So therefore, the Lord required us to change. Therefore, you're required to change too. All right. Okay, let me go now. So I'm going to try to get through this as easily as I can. I just wanted to bring out a significant story of one of our forefathers, reading about the book of Tobit and about Tobias, and just about basically giving away your daughter, right? And let me see here. Maybe I can kind of go around this a little bit. Now that I've talked a little bit more than I expected to. This is Tobit 6:10. The angel said to the young man, brother, today we shall lodge with Raguel, who is thy cousin. He also hath only one daughter named Sarah. I will speak for her, that she may be given thee for a wife. You see that? So Raguel, now you know the story of Sarah. Sarah, and that's what I'm trying to jump around. There were 7 other men that she was supposed to marry, but during that time, she had an evil spirit dwelling around her home and in her bed chambers, and that anytime a man was about to lay to her, the evil spirit would kill him off. And ultimately, I believed in the spirit. He was there to wait for Tobias to come. That's why he was killing everybody else, because obviously there's nothing better than a new man having a virgin that he can marry and that another man hasn't been inside of now. And I'm not saying that to demean you sisters. I know we lived in a twisted world, but don't just be giving yourself over to any man in these days, you know. And you that believe, and you know, you all gonna get new bodies too, and you're gonna be, you know, virgins again, man. You know, that whole I'm a reborn Christian, and they think they done had 30 partners already. You still done had 30 partners, sis. However, you got to be renewed in the mind and know that now the only man that you're sleeping with is your husband, or a man that you're intending to be your husband. Okay. It says, let me see here. Let me go over. I'm trying to get to certain points. I got Tobias 6:15. Then the angel said unto him, doest thou not remember the precept which thy father gave thee, that thou shouldest marry a wife of thine own kindred? Right? So Tobit told Tobias, you know, he's supposed to marry a wife of your own kindred. They want him to marry somebody from the tribe of Naphtali, which is not required, right? It was a significant thing going on. They were captive in Nineveh and things like that, so they were trying to keep keep everything flowing, give them to a good stock. But nonetheless, you can marry any of the tribes. You know, technically, you can have any woman you want, but the other women that are not Israelites, they are to be treated as concubines, technically, right? But it says, and all this is going to come back full circle in the kingdom. We're going to understand it 10 times better, 1,000 times better. Wherefore hear me, O my brother, for she shall be given thee to wife. You see that? She shall be given thee to wife. And make thou no reckoning of the evil spirit, for this same night she shall be given thee in marriage, right? So the wife was Sarah was given unto Tobias. Okay, she wasn't just all those men. Now they did have men before that they tried to arrange, right? The father tried all those men, but all of those men died. But she was given unto Tobias. You know, this is Tobit 71, and when they were come to Ecbatane, they came to the house of Raguel, and Sarah met them. And after they had saluted one another, she brought them into the house. Then said Raguel to Edna, his wife, how like is this young man and Tobit, my cousin? He like, man, he looked just like Tobit. All right, which lets you know a lot of times the sons look like their fathers. And Raguel asked them, from whence are ye, brethren? To whom they said, we are the sons of Naphtali, which are captives in Nineveh. Then he said to them, do ye know Tobit, our kinsman? And they said, we know him. Then said he, is he in good health? Then said he, is he in good health? And they said, he is both alive and in good health. And Tobias said, he is my father. Then Raguel leaped up and kissed him and wept and blessed him. You see that? So he was excited and happy to see him and glad that it was him, and blessed him and said unto him, thou art the son of an honest and a good man. You see that? So he says he heard that it was you are the son, and that's how you know if you train up a child in the way you shall go. Right? He said he leaveth one after like himself. So he said your father is an honest and a good man. So if your father is an honest and a good man, you more than likely have those same traits. All right. And, you know, I'm not saying this to talk about what I discussed before, but I remember years ago, I talked to Elder Yashawama's son. You know, I'm not going to say his name for privacy reasons, but, you know, I told him, I said, you know, your father's a great man, you know, and I was talking to him, and then, you know, Elder Yashawama kind of just let us talk for a minute, you know, and then you saw this look that they gave each other. And I was, man, I don't know how to describe that look, man. A father to a son. I no words could really compliment that situation, you know, but it was beautiful. It's like it was a fatherly protection, love, and a reflection all at the same time, man. And it's like it was, you know, of course I know he knows his father is great, but it's like a newfound love. It was like a, like you learning something more about your father, which is also you learning something more about yourself. But nonetheless, I digress. It says, but when he had heard that Tobit was blind, he was sorrowful and wept. So Tobit was going through there, but Tobit ended up getting his eyes healed. Call out Yabashim Shai. But jumping down to verse 10, it says, for it is meet that thou shouldest bury my daughter. Nevertheless, I would declare unto thee the truth. All right. So in this, he told him he had to keep it real with him. He had to keep it real with him, tell him what was going on with his daughter and the fact that all these other men had died. It goes into the story. It's a great story, honestly. I'm just not going to read it all because it's a lot, but it's a great story. But he let him know what the situation was so then he can make a decision himself, right? So he can make the decision like, hey, man, this is what's going on. So now I put all the facts out there. So now you can make the decisions for yourself, and Tobias still prayed to the Lord and he ended up still taking her on to be his wife. Okay. And 13, it says, then he called his daughter Sarah, and she came to her father, and he took her by the hand and gave her to be wife to Tobias, saying, behold, take her after the law of Moses and lead her away to thy father. And he blessed them. Okay. You see that? So it's beautiful, beautiful, man. So he said he gave her to be his wife, right? So he gave her his daughter over to a man of understanding. Okay. Let me see here. There was a verse that I really liked. I'm kind of jumping past them right now. There it is. Because I skipped some points, but y'all get the point. But I want to get this last verse on here for this section, at least. Tobit 10 and verse 12. And he says, and he said to his daughter, honor thy father and thy mother-in-law, which are now thy parents. He's talking to his daughter, Sarah, which are now thy parents. And I may hear a good report of thee. A father wants to hear a good report about his son and his daughter about what you're doing. The father's like, I want to hear good news. When this man come back and tell me, or I hear some things, I want to know that you were doing well to them and to your husband. That's supposed to be a reward in the father's heart to know how she's treating her husband and how she's treating the rest of the family. But now you got a civilization of people that just don't care about their husband, don't care about their children. Women that talk so badly about their husband, you would think that's their worst enemy. He's like, I better hear a good report of you. He says that he kissed her and also said to Tobias, the Lord of heaven restore thee, my dear brother, and grant that I may see thy children of my daughter, Sarah, before I die. She's like, I want to see some grandbabies too. And see that, so that lets you know it was a custom for our women to have children. I want to have children. I want you to put some children in her, that I may rejoice before the Lord. Behold, I commit my daughter unto thee of special trust. Right? They're entrusting their daughter unto you. Wherefore do not entreat her evil. You see? So this, they let you know that he was going to treat her right, and they knew it. He said, I got a special trust that I'm giving you my daughter. Treat her good all the days of her life. And so because she was a virgin, she was a righteous woman, so, but this, and another thing, we didn't get into it, but Asmodeus, right, the spirit that was in the room, man, a lot of people be having Asmodeus probably lurking around in people's rooms now. You wondering why your man always leaving you, why, if you a decent woman, because you probably messing with the wrong guys, why dudes end up dead, things like that. There are probably evil spirits around you, but you need, I ain't necessarily saying you got to use the ritual they use, but you got to pray to Yahweh Shema Shai to truly give you a man of the Lord, and the thing is, when he comes, you got to be able to recognize it. That's another thing, right? There's one lady that I tried to date one time. It didn't work out, but it turns out, she said she prayed to the Lord for a man of God, and the Lord sent me to her, right? And we didn't last 3 weeks. The Lord sent me to her, and she prayed for a man of God, and I showed up, and I know I showed up. I pray that I'm a man of God. I'm praying I'm Yahweh Shema Shai elect, right? But she said because she was a woman preacher, And I ended up telling her that she's not supposed to be preaching. Men are only supposed to be preaching. I tried to go over a few things with her, and she couldn't take it because she's a woman preacher. So now that she was sent a true man of the Lord that do the scriptures, she wasn't able to receive that. But had her father raised her up the right way to let you know, you're not supposed to become a woman preacher. That's a man's duty. Maybe our relation, our what we had could have been something more. And the thing is, I liked her, and I know she liked me, right? But at the end of the day, her pride and her self-will let her overthrow the fact that a man of the Lord was being sent to her. So that's why it's good for other men to choose for you, a man to show you a better way. And this ain't just about your daughters, this goes for sometimes sisters, aunts, because, not to demean women, but we say that they are like our daughters, I tried to set up a family member one time with somebody, but the family member ended up doing weird stuff and it didn't work out, man. You know what I'm saying? But we live in a life now where women want to choose for themselves. And especially instead of having we know best. We know another good man when we see one. We know a dirtbag when we see one, right? Most of all, we know we want the best for you. That's another thing about women. You want the best for your sex life. You want the best for your pockets. We want the best for you in love, sincerity, and good keeping, right? We see that a man, he takes care of himself. He dresses well. He has he serves the Lord, right? He has a job. He has a car. We look for those type of things. He don't got to be the biggest, baddest baller, right? If he does respectful things as a man, we know he can provide for you. So we want the best for you. So we're going to look after our family members, but you just want the best for your sex life or your image, then that's the problem. Okay. Just got a few more verses here, and there are really many other scriptures on men giving away their daughters. Let me just read 1 Samuel 18 and 17. And Saul said to David, "Behold, my elder daughter Merab, her will I give thee to wife. Only be thou valiant for me and fight the Lord's battles." For Saul said, "Let not my hand be upon him, and let the hand be upon the Philistines. Let the hand of the Philistines be upon him." So, Saul was giving his daughter to David. Jehoash sent to Amaziah. This is 2 Kings 14 and 9. And Jehoash, the king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, "The thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that I was in Lebanon, saying, give thy daughter to my son to wife." So men were doing this because they realized the righteousness in it. Now, to bring it all home, the truth is an arranged marriage. Okay? And I'm going to wrap it up after I get done these last points. The truth is an arranged marriage. Right? What Yahweh Ba'Shem Al-Shai says, "I have chosen thee. You have not chosen me." Okay? So the Lord chose us. We hoping that we praying we are part of his number. Right? And we were gifted to our Lord. We were given to Yahweh Shai. Okay? We were given to Yahweh Shai. Revelation 19 and 7, "Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready." You see? So now we are preparing ourselves. We are cleansing ourselves of this world. Right? The scriptures even call us virgins. Lord willing, we be those men. Okay? It says, "In whom mouth is no guile." Right? We try to be lovely, beautiful wives. Is likened unto a delicate woman. We try to follow our Lord, be obedient to our Lord, and we serve him on all his commandments. He asks us to do lessons, we do lessons. He asks us to go to highways and byways, we go to highways and byways. He asks us to be charitable, we're charitable. He asks us to be loving to our brethren, and we love our brothers. All right, he asks us to do his commandments, and we're going to be his friends and no longer servants, because we have done whatsoever he commanded. All right, so we are the Lord's love. We are the Lord's wife. And we are being given from the Father, Yahweh, to his son as a wife. Okay? And I'm going to read, this is John 17, and I'm going to wrap it up after this. John 17 and 6. "I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. Thine they were, and thou gavest them me. And they have kept thy word." You see, so we were given to Yahweh Shai So the truth is an arranged marriage. All right. And there's beauty in it. There's beauty in it, man. Now, the most beautiful thing. Now they have known that all things whatsoever thou hast given me are of thee. For I have given unto them the words which thou gavest me, and they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from thee, and they have believed that thou didst send me. I pray for them, and I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. And all mine are thine, and thine are mine, and I am glorified in them. You see? It says, and now I am no more in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to thee, Holy Father. Keep through thine own name those whom thou hast given me, that they may be as one as we are. You see? So call all Yahweh Shem Shai. We were given to Yahweh Shai from Yahweh as a wife given to a husband. He's the bridegroom and we're the bride. So now as a bride, we're trying to be as submissive, as obedient, as loving as possible and do the things that he's commanding of us. So the spirit is an arranged marriage, man. So, one day we're going to have this back in the kingdom of heaven. Right now, we just got to deal with a lot of hell. And for you brothers that do have wives out there, hey, man, there's a blessing on both ends. There's a blessing in torment having a wife, and there's a blessing in torment being single. But may the Lord bless us all and give us the understanding of the spirit. Once again, as we go back into our ancient customs, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and mercy to the hopeful elect. Until next time, Shalom.